Today, it's a team of the most overrated players versus a team of the most underrated players. The team of overrated players is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, since they have been deemed the most overrated team heading into the 2023 season, and they will be a collection of players who are too hyped up at their current position. The Cincinnati Bengals will be the team of the most underrated players, and they will be led by Patrick Surtain. They will be a collection of players who fly under the radar at their current position. Both teams will compete in a collection of challenges in practice mode, franchise mode, and a Super Bowl matchup to decide the winner. Starting with the team of overrated players, they will be led by Odell Beckham Jr. We all remember the famous one-handed catch against the Cowboys and how dominant he was early in his career. He recently just signed with the Baltimore Ravens on a one-year contract, and people are making it seem like he's the answer at wide receiver there in Baltimore. And for that reason, he's on the team of overrated players. Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, and DK Metcalf will round out the rest of the wide receiver core. At quarterback, I'm going with Josh Allen. And don't get me wrong, he's a very good quarterback, but a lot of times people think he's regarded as the best quarterback in the NFL, but he still has a lot of work to do with his turnover ratio. I can also definitely add Dak Prescott to this list, but instead we're going to go with a different Cowboys quarterback in Tony Romo. Alvin Kamara and 2012 Madden cover athlete Peyton Hillis will be the running backs on the team. Peyton Hillis being on the team might be a little bit unfair because a lot of the Cleveland Brown fans really loved him, and that's why they voted him onto the cover, but he didn't really have any special of a career. At tight end, Darren Waller fits the overrated title, especially over the past couple seasons where he signed the biggest contract for a tight end and hasn't been able to stay healthy. The O-line includes Brian O'Neill, Russ Grimm, Connor McGovern, Brandon Scherf, and Braden Smith. The most overrated players on defense is going to start with William Perry. He was a fan favorite in Chicago, but he only had 29.5 sacks in his career. Backing him up will be Dalvin Tomlinson. At defensive end, we have Chase Young, a former defensive rookie of the year, but since then, he hasn't really produced much on the field. And joining him will be Chandler Jones. Bill Romanowski and Tremaine Edmonds will man the middle linebacker positions, as they are both overrated at their position. I also decided to add two Chargers to the outside linebacker positions in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. They both signed massive contracts and are one of the highest paid players at their position. Although Dexter Jackson was a Super Bowl MVP, he has played throughout his career left a lot to be desired. Alongside him will be Jamal Adams, who hasn't really lived up to his massive contract that the Seattle Seahawks gave him. D'Angelo Hall ranks 11th of the most overrated players in NFL history according to this article. Joining him will be Darius Slade Jr., Trayvon Diggs, and J.C. Jackson. Although most of these players are really good players in the NFL, they just really haven't lived up to their contract or what people make them out to be. Patrick Surtain II is slowly starting to get the respect that he deserves as being a shutdown corner in the NFL. Joining him at cornerback is going to be Eric Allen. He is number 21 on the NFL's most underrated players of all time according to Bleacher Report. AJ Terrell, Tyson Campbell, and Isaiah Rodgers will round out the rest of the corners as they are regarded as underrated cornerbacks who currently play in the NFL. The most underrated player to ever play for the Ravens is Haloti Ngata, but is usually forgotten because of his Hall of Fame teammates in Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, and Ed Reed. Quentin Williams will back him up and has really become a solid run stopper in New York. Franklin Myers and Christian Wilkins will be the defensive ends for this team. London Fletcher comes in at number 7 of being the most underrated player in NFL history, where his success came early, but the recognition came late. The same can be said for Charles Haley. He won 5 Super Bowls and was an absolute game changer on the defensive side of the ball. Unfortunately for him, he was in the shadows of other Hall of Famers like Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, and many others. As for current players in the NFL, Rashawn Gary and Levante David will join them at the linebacker core. Justin Simmons and Leroy Butler will be the starting safeties on the team, and backing them up will be Talanoa Hufanga, who has quickly become one of the best defensive players on a stacked 49ers team. Moving to the offense, and I know this might be a controversial take, but Justin Fields will be quarterback number 1. Playing for a struggling Bears team, they went out and made a few great moves. There are a lot of doubters, but I do think he's going to take a huge step this season. But in case you don't feel the same way about Justin Fields, Ken Anderson will join him as backup quarterback, and he comes in at number 4 on the NFL's most underrated players of all time list. This one might be a little bit of a head scratcher, but according to NFL analysts, Marvin Harrison is an underrated player. Jimmy Smith, Keenan Allen, and Gabriel Davis will round out the rest of the wide receiver core for this underrated team. Ryan Westbrook is another underrated player who could do it all in the running game, passing game, and the return game. Joining him will be Josh Jacobs and Dameon Pierce. At tight end, Dallas Goedert is one of the most underrated players at his position, and he's an integral part of the Eagles' offense that led them to the Super Bowl this year. At O-line, we have Lomas Brown, Wyatt Teller, Frank Ragnow, Chris Lindstrom, and Ryan Ramczyk. The first challenge is the punt return. Team overrated is up first, and Cooper Kupp is able to pick up 10 yards. On attempt number 2, Cooper Kupp is able to pick up another 10 yards, putting the total to 20 so far. And on attempt number 3, Kupp is able to push off one defender and find some open field for a huge pickup of 18 yards. Team captain Odell Beckham Jr. will take the next 2 attempts, and on his first attempt, he is able to pick up a respectable 9 yards. On Team Overrated's last attempt, Odell was able to make one defender miss before being taken down for a solid 13-yard pickup for a grand total of 60 yards, which can definitely be tough. First attempt for Jimmy Smith and the team of underrated players, and he was only able to pick up a measly 5 yards. Not the start that Team Underrated wanted. On attempt number 2, he decides to swing out to the left, but is stopped quickly for a 10-yard gain, and then breaks one tackle for a gain of 14 yards for a total of 29 yards through 3 attempts. With just 2 attempts left, Team Underrated has their work cut out for them. They need at least 31 yards to tie this up. Ryan Westbrook is up next, and he gets tackled almost immediately, picking up 5 yards. On the last attempt, Westbrook receives the ball from the 24-yard line and jukes out the first defender, but gets taken down by 2 defenders, only picking up 9 yards. Unfortunately, 43 yards was not enough to beat the team of Overrated Players in the punt return challenge. Next up is the goal line phase challenge, where 3 receivers on both teams go one-on-one with the team's best corner. Starting with the Overrated team, Josh Allen throws up to Cooper Kupp, but the ball was overthrown just a little and it goes right through his hands. That was some lockdown defense by Eric Allen. Josh Allen throws a perfect ball and Cooper Kupp was able to come down with it, even though Eric Allen was all over him. For the next 2 attempts, we have DK Metcalf lined up at wide receiver 1, but Josh Allen underthrows the ball and Eric Allen was able to swat it away. On attempt number 4, Allen cannot get his accuracy in check and overthrows the ball once again, and Metcalf fails to score a touchdown. Let's see if Odell Beckham can make something happen here, as they only have 1 touchdown so far. And Josh Allen was finally able to put the ball in the spot only his receivers could get for their 2nd touchdown. On their last attempt, Eric Allen played lockdown defense and swatted the ball away. The team of Overrated Players were only able to score 2 touchdowns on 6 attempts, and now Justin Fields and Team Underrated have their opportunity. First attempt, and Justin Fields is able to lob one up to Jimmy Smith, who beats Trayvon Diggs to score their first touchdown. And on attempt 2, Justin Fields throws a perfect pass to Jimmy Smith, who catches it over Trayvon Diggs. Marvin Harrison gets the next 2 attempts, and he is able to easily beat Trayvon Diggs and catch it for a touchdown. And then he cooks him once again for yet another touchdown. Let's see if they can go a perfect 6 for 6. Fields steps back and throws an interception to Trayvon Diggs. But on attempt number 6, Fields throws it up to Keenan Allen, who is able to catch it over top of Diggs. The team of Underrated Players were able to score 5 touchdowns on 6 attempts and win the goal line phase challenge with ease. The passing challenge is up next, and whichever team tallies the most yards wins. If a quarterback gets sacked, it'll be minus 5 yards, and if a quarterback throws an interception, it'll be minus 10 yards. On Team Overrated's first attempt, Josh Allen finds Darren Waller over the middle for a solid 24 yards. And on attempt number 2, Allen goes right back to Darren Waller, this time for 28 yards. 2 really big gains on the first 2 attempts, and Josh Allen throws another perfect pass to Waller once again for 22 yards, and Team Overrated now have 74 yards on just 3 attempts. That's quite impressive. The next 2 attempts will be the play PA crossers out of gun tray wide flex, and Josh Allen is able to find Cooper Kupp for a 22-yard gain. And on their last attempt, Allen goes right back to Kupp for a solid gain of 24 yards for a total of 120 yards. And that is going to be really tough to beat. We now have Justin Fields and the team of Underrated Players, and he finds a streaking Dallas Goedert for a solid gain of 29 yards, starting off strong. On attempt 2, Justin Fields holds onto the ball for a little bit too long and just about gets sacked, picking up no yards. Things went from bad to worse on the next attempt as Fields tries to throw it off his back foot but gets picked off by Bill Romanowski, losing 10 yards. With just 2 attempts left, Justin Fields comes out in PA crossers and is able to find Marvin Harrison over the middle for 27 yards. And with just 1 attempt left, Justin Fields goes right back to Marvin Harrison for 25 yards for a grand total of 71 yards, which was not good enough to beat Team Overrated in the passing challenge. Team Overrated now leads the competition by a score of 2 challenges to 1. Next up, we have the franchise challenge. Whichever team, the team of Overrated Players or the team of Underrated Players, has the best record at the end of the season will win. Through 7 games, the team of Underrated Players has a record of 6-1, while the team of Overrated Players are 5-2. And now, stemming to the end of the season, which team will have the best record? Team Underrated was able to win out the rest of their games, finishing with a 16-1 record, while Team Overrated finished the season with 14 wins and 3 losses. The team of Underrated Players only lost to the Ravens in Week 5, and the team of Overrated Players lost to Team Underrated in Week 2, the Eagles in Week 6, and the Packers in Week 10. Both teams finished first in their conferences and have a first-round bye heading into the playoffs. Josh Allen ended up having a solid season with 4,700 passing yards and 31 touchdowns, while Kamara finished with over 1,000 yards, and Peyton Hillis has 19 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, and Darren Waller all had over 1,000 receiving yards, while William Perry finished the season with 19.5 sacks. Ken Anderson finished with 5,400 passing yards and 46 touchdowns with only 8 interceptions. Ryan Westbrook had a great season with 1,500 rushing yards. Jimmy Smith, Marvin Harrison, and Keenan Allen all had over 1,000 receiving yards, while Charles Haley finished with a team-leading 16.5 sacks. After simming the playoffs, Team Underrated defeated the team of Overrated Players in the Super Bowl, where Charles Haley won Super Bowl MVP and Ken Anderson wins NFL MVP. And after the franchise challenge is all tied up, where both teams have 2 challenge wins each. The final challenge is a Super Bowl matchup where we have Josh Allen leading Team Overrated going up against Ken Anderson and the rest of the team of Underrated Players. Josh Allen finds DK Metcalf over the middle for a short 3-yard pickup for the first down. A few plays later, Allen throws a beam to Darren Waller for a huge pickup. The Allen and Waller connection is looking really good to start this game. They continue to move down the field, but on 3rd and 8, DK fails to keep his feet in bounds. And to make things worse, the field goal was blocked. On the team of underrated players' first possession, Anderson was able to find his tight end Goddard for a 10-yard pickup. On 3rd down, Anderson tries to go to the end zone, but he gets picked off by Trayvon Diggs. I don't even know how he was able to keep his feet in bounds there. Unfortunately, Josh Allen was not able to make them pay on that turnover, and now Ken Anderson is back on offense, finding Jimmy Smith for a 15-yard gain and a first down. The team of underrated players were able to work their way down the field with some nice passes from Ken Anderson, and on the goal line, Ken Anderson steps back and finds Dallas Goedert in the end zone to give the team of underrated players their first lead of the game. Early in the second quarter, Josh Allen throws a costly interception right into the hands of London Fletcher. But luckily for him, Ken Anderson returns the favor, throwing his second interception of the game, this time to Darius Slay. Leaving the rest of the first half, the team of overrated players finally get on the board thanks to a 3-yard rushing touchdown by tight end Peyton Hendershot. With just 2 minutes left in the second half, the team of underrated players blew the doors wide open, scoring 2 touchdowns and now lead 21-7. Unfortunately for Josh Allen and the team of overrated players, they could not get anything going early on in the second half, which led to another underrated team touchdown. This time it was a 67-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison. One last shot here for Josh Allen to start the comeback, but they failed to get in the end zone with just 5 minutes to go. And just like that, the team of underrated players dominate the game from start to finish and win the Super Bowl. But more importantly, win the entire competition by a score of 3 challenge wins, the team overrated 2. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go check out where I had a team of Super Bowl champions go up against national champions. But it's Madden. We'll see who won that one.